Hello everyone. A few thoughts about something I'd heard about Sam Harris, how he says that some ideas are so dangerous that the people who have them can't be allowed to live. And I sort of felt puzzled upon hearing that. I mean, I eventually looked it up, and it does kind of represent sort of what he was saying, maybe if you squint at it right. But the funny thing about it is that this objection to Sam Harris was presented as if this was a new or scary or terrifying thing. And, well, we have treason, we have sedition, we have the idea of treasonous thoughts, we have the idea of thought crime, we have the idea of blasphemy, we have the idea of heresy. So, no. This is a very old and very human idea, unfortunately. It just doesn't, it's not something that just belongs to Sam Harris. I mean, we have people killing each other because you can't draw Muhammad. Fuck that. Very few people, but, it still happens. The idea that some ideas are too dangerous to exist is not a controversial one, although I believe it should be. It's simply no one wants their ideas to be considered too dangerous. And then I got thinking about, okay, what would be some dangerous ideas? And, well, I came up with two. One that is dangerous for scary reasons, and one that is dangerous because it would mean the end of our species as we know it, if we actually positively acted on it. And the first one is the idea that there is a master race, or a chosen people, or a inheritors of the earth, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. That there are a group of people who are better and are more deserving, and whose actions are therefore necessarily good. And I don't think the fact that this is a dangerous idea is terribly controversial, again, unless you consider yourself to be one of these chosen people, in which case you're an asshole. But, I mean, ethnic cleansing, religious wars, everything from Lebensraum in the Third Reich to the Final Solution in the Third Reich. There are all sorts of horrible, effective wiping out, near wiping out of the American Indians. The slave trade. I mean, that is a horribly dangerous idea. It is. And sadly, very much like the idea of ideas being too dangerous to exist, it is also a terribly fashionable one in our species. I mean, whole religions are built on this. And it's a depressing one. But then, let's take a look at the other one. This is an idea I like. Whether or not there is a deity, let's just set that question aside. Whether or not there is a creator, if, as the evidence indicates, we are imperfect beings, with imperfections that have been sometimes reinforced and created by millions and millions and millions of years of evolution, then shouldn't we be finding out what we are and how we can make ourselves a little bit better? Yes, I know this can go over the edge into eugenics, into the idea of breeding supermen, although something inside me tells me that eugenics is good or bad depending upon what traits you decide are undesirable, and how you decide who gets the better breeding. A truly wonderfully dangerous idea would be to try and improve the health of the species as a whole without forcing it on anyone. You don't want it? Great. Of course, then you have people who go, well, then my children will not be able to compete as well as the other children. Okay, we are all living in a world that is fucking unfair. We are all living in a world that doesn't conform to our expectations and doesn't make nice to us. However, we are playing this game with handicaps not just in our bodies, but in the way our minds work. We are interacting with a world that is in and of itself largely mechanistic, with a brain that largely wants to ascribe motivations to everything around us. Dealing with that in and of itself, it wouldn't create a race of supermen, but it would create human beings who would just be a little bit more able to experience wonder at the world for what it is, rather than blame gremlins for hiding their car keys. Just a thought. Of course, this would mean that what we are now as human beings would eventually cease to be, and that's why this would be a dangerous idea. And it's also dangerous because some people would consider, no, tampering with the natural order of things is evil and must be, and that the creations of such and the people who would do such things are abominations. That's dangerous. But I don't think we can really create supermen, or at least not for a few thousand years. What we can do is understand, okay, where are we significantly, glaringly, painfully less than we could be? What are the consequences of altering that? For instance, the inability of a large number of people to understand and appreciate things outside that which they feel familiar. Yes, we evolved with this probably because that which is surprising and appeared suddenly out of nowhere probably wanted to eat you. But if we're going to work together even loosely, even let's not throw atomic bombs across the planet, it would be a little easier if we didn't consider that which was change, that which was different, quite so suspiciously. Baby steps. That is a terribly dangerous idea, and that's one I like. Thank you for your time and attention. Sorry this video did not have as much of a focus as you might have expected, but right now I'm just feeling dissatisfied with the idea that we should be expected to settle for what we get. And I say we as a species. And that we should be expected to play the hand we're dealt, when accepting random chance is the utmost in passivity, and which is not always a bad thing. I mean, if you're being washed away by a wave, fighting it is often not going to do you any good. But passivity generally means you get screwed over or eaten, or your lunch eaten by something else. And it's not that I see the world as a horribly evil competitive place, just I don't see it as one made for our benefit. Okay. Now, thank you for your time and attention. Have a good weekend, what remains of it.